Basic Skill Bootcamp, Multiplication and Division. In today's lesson, students will learn how to solve basic multiplication and division problems using touch math. Using what? Very good. Now, before we begin, I have a question to ask all of you, okay? Who still does not know their multiplication tables by heart? Be honest. Just be honest, okay? So if there are those of you who still do not know your multiplication tables by heart, or when you get to some of the higher multiplication tables like 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s, you're still counting or using your fingers. You can use touch math for multiplication, okay? So again, you can use touch math for multiplication, but the way that you use it is by skip counting. By doing what? Skip counting. So we're going to have to memorize how to skip count. Now, for 2's, most of you know how to skip count by 2's. And when I say skip count, okay, you are skipping over numbers. So let's go ahead and skip count by 2. Okay, so count with me. Say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, what's next? 14, 16, 18, and 20, okay? Okay, so if you've memorized how to skip count, you can use the touch points to solve multiplication problems. So let's take a look at some of these basic multiplication problems, okay? Now, multiplication, you're going to see an X. So whenever I say multiply, you're going to go ahead and make this with your arms. Make it with your arms, say multiply. Ready? Multiply. Okay, so multiply means that you skip count. Now, I've made the number 2 in red because we're skip counting by 2. We're skip counting by what? By 2. Okay, so if you say 2 times 4 and you do not know that it's 8, okay? And you have to think, what is 2 times 4? Well, instead of saying 2, 4, 6, 8, you're going to touch the points. We're going to get it a little bit closer. Okay, and you're going to say 2, 4, 6, 8. So 2 times 4 is 8. You'll also notice that if you go up on the sequence chart and say 2, 4, 6, 8, you've also counted over how many times? 4 times. So how many times do you skip count by 2 to get to 8? How many times? 4 times, because 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? Now, with these, you're going to say the number without the dot, which is 2, and you're going to skip count with the dots on the number, okay? So this is 8 times 2. 8 times 2 is the same as 2 times 8, right? So you're going to skip count by 2, and you're going to say, skip count with me, ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, so 8 times 2 is 16. So how many times do you skip count by 2? Remember, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. That's 8 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 times 2 is 16. Again, it doesn't matter if the 2 is on the top or on the bottom. What you have to do is you have to look at what number does not have dots. It's the red number, right? What number does not have dots? 2. So this is saying skip count by 2. How many times? 9 times. Okay, so move that over. Okay, so we're going to say, remember, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So what is 2 times 9? 18. Very good. Okay, then in example 4, we have 6 times 2. So that means we're going to skip count by which number? We're going to skip count by 2. That's the number without the dots. And then we're going to use the dots to skip count 6 times. So if you said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? That means that 6 times 2 is 12. But you can also touch the dots and say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay? The last one is 2 times 5. 2 times 5. So we're going to skip count by what? What are we going to skip count by? 2's. And we're going to do it 5 times. We're going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, go ahead and get that down. Now we're going to talk about a bridge map. What kind of a map is this? Bridge map. And bridge map tells you about analogies, okay? Analogies. And usually you're talking about a relationship between 2 different things or 2 different ideas. So I'm going to start with one that you probably already know. Maybe not, but maybe. Okay, when you talk about addition, did you know that addition is the opposite of subtraction? Okay, so for example, if I tell you that 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9, you know that, right? Well, the opposite number sentence, when you use subtraction, but you use all of the 3 same numbers, is that 9 minus 5 is what? What's 9 take away 5? Okay, I've used 9 and I've used 5, so what's left? 4, okay? So it's part of a fact family, which we'll talk about next week. But addition is the opposite of subtraction, right? Because when you're adding, the opposite of that would be taking away, okay? And so when you look at multiplication, multiplication is the opposite of division, okay? Multiplication is the opposite of division. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how they are related in just a minute, but make sure that you get this down on your notes. Now you can use skip counting to help you with division problems as well, because you have to know that multiplication is the opposite of division. Okay, so let's skip count by 2 again. Skip count with me, say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Very good. Let's talk about division for a minute now, okay? So let's say you have a problem that is 16 divided by 2. Now, I want you to think about this in a new way, because many of your teachers have said, well, how many times does 2 go into 16? And you're like, what does that mean? How many times? Okay, I'm going to rephrase it. I'm going to say, how many times can you skip count by 2 to get to 16? How many times do you skip count? Don't use your fingers, okay? Remember, we want to go away from our fingers. What I do want you to do is make tally marks. So we're going to skip count all the way to 16. And when we have a tally mark of 5, on the 5th one, you're going to put a diagonal. So watch. We're going to skip count from 2 to 16. We're going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay. So how many tally marks did I make? If this is 5, 5 with 3 more is what? It's 8, right? Okay, it's 8. So that means that 2 times 8 is 16, okay? 2 times 8 is 16. And for today, all I want you to do is go ahead and make the tally marks and write the number. Now, again, the big number under the box, we have some vocabulary words. The big number under the box, I'll just tell you right now, this is called the dividend. Say this word, dividend. Okay, this is the big number you're dividing. Now the 2, the number that you're skip counting by, that's called the divisor. What is it called? Divisor. And the number 8 at the top, okay, your answer is called the quotient. The quotient. So we will talk about those vocabulary words. Let's focus on skip counting for division problems. Read this division problem with me. Say the number in the box first. And this says 20 divided by 2. So you're going to say divided by. Say 20, okay, divided by 2. That means how many times do you skip count by 2 to get to 20? So let's go ahead. I'm going to make these tally marks in red so you can see them better. Skip count with me by 2s. You're going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So I have 2 tally marks, both with 5, right? So how many times did I skip count? How many times? 10 times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So what is the answer or the quotient? It's 2 times what number? Or how many times did I skip count? 10 times. Very good. Okay. Let's try one more and skip count by 2's. This is 14 divided by 2. Say it with me. 14 divided by 2. How many times are we going to skip count by 2 to get to 14? Count with me now. We're going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I made a tally mark of 5 plus 2, which is 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should end up at 14. So we have our quotient 2 times 7 is 14.